Hi everyone, it's Melissa Whitaker. Wanted to give a quick shout out today. This morning I got up really early and I was going through my LinkedIn feed and I came across a really great video, short and sweet, by my friend Steve Q in London. And he had, the whole concept was the one thing we can count on and is consistent is change. It's always an ironic statement, right? But anyway, I say that all the time to my prospects, to my clients, to my friends, to my family even. But to hear someone else say it and talk about it, let me really sit with that and ponder in the bigger scheme of things, what does that really mean? And how does that impact my clients and perhaps your clients? And he gave a really good analogy. He talked about that there was a series of pictures taken in New York. One was really long ago, like I think it was like just the 1900s, and then it went to the 1913, and then it kind of went up and up by 15 years, 13 years, something like that as it categorized up. And it showed such dramatic change in short periods of time. Like he had spoken about how in the year 1900, there's a picture on one major, kind of downtown street area, probably like in Manhattan or something, and it showed there was a lot of horses and buggies, and there was like one automobile, and it was like circled to show that there was only one automobile and the rest were horses and buggies. 13 years later in 1913, it was the reverse. It was all automobiles and there was one circle around a horse and a buggy, and it progresses, right? So it got me really thinking too, because yesterday I was making a whole bunch of sales calls myself and reaching out to current clients, past clients, even prospects for that matter. And of course, I was calling on them to see how they're doing, if there are ways that we can support them. And I was also letting them know we do have a Management and Leadership Academy class next month that we find in our opinion is very different than what's out there, right? Because not only do we go over the fundamentals of course, how to be an effective manager and a leader, but we really dive in deep around being an effective coach. And to really have people understand that at the core of their responsibilities, to really know how to develop the people on their team to a higher level is different than just managing. And even though we know, and the people who've attended our Management and Leadership Academy classes, every single time people attend our classes in that category, they say, wow, that was a totally different perspective than I have seen in other classes I've attended. Also because we give people personalized management assessments that shows them a little bit more how they're wired and how the people on their team are wired. And then based on how they're wired, what does that mean? Like, how do they direct and delegate? Just naturally, good or bad, right? How do they motivate, or in some cases maybe demotivate, their environment of the people that they have on their team and in their culture, right? So it's a slightly different take, an add-on that's weaved in to what some people are used to. And we also find that, people love the fact that we actually break down and do actual action plans right in our class. Because I've heard from a lot of people through the years that say, Melissa, I've gone to a lot of classes, but then I leave. There's great ideas, but I leave, I'm overwhelmed, and I don't even know where to start. So I maybe try to take a couple ideas and do them, but then within 2 weeks, there's so much going on, I'll be honest, and heard it over and over again. I'll be honest, I go back in my comfort zone and I just go back to the way I used to do it because it's easier, all right? Because there wasn't ongoing follow-up or ongoing coaching for accountability, reinforcement, and implementation. So these are the things that we hear, right? But going back to Steve's video, it really got me thinking, because yesterday as I'm making all these calls, it was just one of those days, right? It was one of those days where I kept hearing from business owners all these weird comments like, well, Melissa, my sales managers and my VP of sales and my director of sales, they've been doing this a long time. They know what they're doing. They've been to classes and classes. And frankly, I just don't really see the value yet of sending them to another class. And I said to them, that's interesting, because here's the thing. Times have changed, my friend. You guys know it, you see it, you feel it, and somehow some people are stuck into this. I've mastered it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and I'm still operating under those same assumptions. And the reality is things have changed. So one thing I tell people is, listen, to truly be successful, and you've heard me say this before, and I even recorded a video, I think earlier this year, about the fact that we have to all be individuals who have a growth mindset. We have to be constantly learning. And it's funny because even Steve Q had mentioned, he's like, listen, in the end, there's gonna be learners who take on the world because they're staying on top of all the change and modification and what's working, what's not working. And he said, then there's the other category of people who just have that saying of, we've always done it this way, so therefore we will always continue to do it this way. And then they're the masters of what's obsolete. They're the masters of what's obsolete. Think about that for a minute. Yikes. I mean, that scares me for you. Do you understand what I'm saying? It scares me for you. And so I want you just to think about that today. Are you someone who says, you know what? I mastered it. I'm good. I have all the information I need. I don't need to learn. I don't need to grow. Or are you a learner that's going to stay ahead of the curve and have a growth mindset? And for the owners that are out there, I don't mean to be mean, but I heard other comments yesterday of some people saying, well, Melissa, you know, I can see and feel that some of my top sales executives, I can see where there's areas that they probably need to grow in. But you know what? Could you help me sell them on the idea of how it could benefit them and like why, you know, get them on board. You know what I mean? Because right now they don't think they need any learning. Okay, there's two crazy, scary statements there. One, a sales executive doesn't think they need to learn anything. The other thing is though, gang, as business owners, if you see greatness in your people or some little gaps that really could catapult your person of greatness, why are you leaving that to chance? Right? Because any great leader and or coach sees greatness in people on their team. And what they do is it's their job, hence owners, to pull that greatness out of their people. Right? I had one person say, well, Melissa, if you could sell me on this idea to my VP, I see some areas that he really needs some growth in, but he's not sold on it. So if you can sell him on it and he's interested, then I'll register and send him to your academy next month. And I thought, oh my gosh. He's like, because I one day want to retire and I could see him stepping up to a higher role. And I thought, oh my gosh. And of course, you know, I'm starting to talk to him and then he's in a different time zone. And next thing you know, we lose the connection and his phone died and I had to call him back later. But here's the thing, gang. You need to understand something. Don't leave it to chance. If you see that potential greatness in someone or an area that you could see they could stretch and grow into be this elevated, up-level version of themselves, why wouldn't you just tell that individual that you see this opportunity for them to grow and learn and that you are sending them and investing in them to attend something that will give them the tools and the techniques to get them to that next level. Do you understand what I'm saying? So here's what I'm saying. All of us need to, of course, have our own individual growth mindset. But in addition to that, leaders of organizations, owners of organizations need to see the greatness in their people of who they want to move up this level and chain. And how are you going to support them and invest in them and just send them to something and then let us show them the gaps. Let us do what we specialize in and help them to understand that even though, yes, they are amazing and they have amazing skills and they have reached a level, hopefully, of success because of their success track record, but gang, things have changed. I'm gonna give you one example real quick before we cut the video off, just to give you an idea, because I know some of you are skeptical. It's just the way you're wired, right? And I get that, and you're saying, oh, this sounds great, Melissa, but I've heard it before. All right, I came across a chart that I'm starting to share with my clients, all right? And it's about how generations prefer to communicate. So you guys have to understand there's a generational shift, which you've heard about, and there's also how people are also wired on your team. So there's two different areas, a generational shift as well as how someone's wired. If you don't know those two things, you're not going to be cultivating a learning and development and growth culture and environment. You're just not, right? There'll be disconnects and it holds back your productivity and your results. So I'm just going to give you an idea. All right. So here's what the latest studies say. If we look at just about having in-person meetings or virtual online meetings And even on the virtual online meetings that we may have for like sales to clients, companies with even their individual people in their workspace, it goes multiple levels. There's the in-person meeting, there's a virtual online meeting, and then there's a virtual online meeting with video, like you're each on a webcam. I found this fascinating because it breaks down what people like and don't like. Will they do it? Do they not want to do it based on their generational shift, right? So you've got baby boomers who are, if you've been born between 1946 and 1964, who say, everybody in that category says we love in-person meetings. Half and half say, I'm willing to do a virtual online meeting. Like half say yes, half say no. And then it says virtual online meeting with video, like we can see each other. The baby boomer generation says, no way, not interested. Interesting, right? Let's see how that shifts according to your group of people that even work for you, because there's gonna be different generations that you have, and then how do you work with that? So you move to Generation X, and that's people who have been born between 1965 and 1979, and it shows that when it comes to in-person meetings, believe it or not, half of them say, yeah, we love it, and how to communicate, and the other half say, not so much. But yet, Generation X's, 1965 to 1979, I happen to fall in that category, all of them say we love virtual online meetings, but crazy enough, only a quarter, 25% of Generation X says they want to include a video. What? That's crazy to me, but I keep seeing it. All right, let's move forward. You've got the Millennials, which is people who are born between 1980 and 1997. In-person meetings, half and half, right? Half say, yeah, we love in-person meetings. Half say, I don't see the benefit. But in the millennial stage, all of them like online meetings. And it says half of them love having video included, and half say, I don't want to be on video. That's really interesting to me. And last but not least, you guys, is Generation Z, who's coming up through the chain that we see. And that is people who have been born between 1998 and 2020. And they say all of them, actually, ironically, have said, we love in-person meetings. Because I do believe that it's coming full circle. We've gotten so far away from almost like a disconnect on the H to H human side. And the problem with that is that, now the youngest group is craving it. They're craving it. So all of them say, we like in-person meetings. When it comes to virtual online meetings, it's half and half. Half say, yep, we like virtual, and half say no. Now the people who do like, the half that do like virtual meetings, all of them want video. Because again, they want to see the person. They want a human to human connection. Interesting, right? So I'm going to leave you with that today, because here's just a little example of some stuff that we go over when we do our learning and development scenarios. Because I'll tell you what, for the people who say, I know it all, I already have the information, guess what? This information wasn't available 5 years ago, wasn't available 10 years ago. So if you attended things that gave you great tools and you think on what the tools are around managing or leading as a sales executive, you may be missing the boat, gang, with some of the things that are the newest information that is vital for you to know to develop your own team and for your team to have the highest success in sales. And how are they connecting with their clients and prospects, right? If you've got someone who is a millennial who really wants to do a virtual online meeting, but you've got a client who's a baby boomer who says absolutely no, you're going to get pushback, right? So you got to understand the dynamics of generation shifts. You have to also understand the dynamics of how people are wired. It makes a big difference. So I would encourage you, as you listen and hear this video, to think about these things today. Can you learn something? Would you like to join us to learn what are some of the latest, newest statistics and information? And if you have people on your team who you feel could rise to another level of success and succession, frankly, you owe it to yourself and to your people on your team to give them the tools and techniques that allow that to happen. So anyway, we are here to support you in any way we can. If that's something that you want to have a conversation about, great. If you say, nope, it's not me, that's fine too. That's your decision on how you want to grow or stay relevant in today's world in the year 2019, going into 2020. So think about that. Be bold, take the lead in your own company, and give your people and even yourself the tools you need to thrive today in all this massive change and not just survive. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.